Hello and welcome to Wednesday's lesson that we went over for 9.3 Solving Rational Equations. This is the last lesson for the Algebra 2 SGI class. We're going to be solving rational equations. So they give us here, solve the rational equation x over x minus 3 equals 2 by graphing. Alright, so here they say first identify any excluded values. A number that is excluded value of the rational expression is if I substitute that number in, the result would be 0. So they ask us to solve x minus 3, which was the denominator, just in case you didn't notice. X minus 3 equal to 0. And so we solve that out by adding 3 to both sides. We find out that x cannot be equal to 3. So as long as we don't get that as a solution, we should be fine. So the next thing I have students do is rewrite the equation with 0 on one side, which right now you notice that 0 is not here. There's a 2 there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of positive 2 by subtracting 2. What that'll do is that'll equal 0. And I'll be left with x over x minus 3 minus 2. All I did was switch it, by the way. I know a lot of students got kind of freaked out by that, but no. We just switched the places. That's okay. The next thing we did was we graphed that equation. We use Desmos, so if you need to, we will definitely graph that function x over x minus 3 minus 2 equals 0. We'll go ahead and graph that out for you using Desmos. Let's go ahead and go there now. You're like, how do we do that? Well, I'm going to click on Desmos. And it's going to load. And it finally loaded. So I'm going to click on where it says desmos.com, start graphing. And you'll see that it's going to load. And I'm going to type in, I'm using my keypad, x divided by x minus 3. I'm going to click outside the fraction so I can write my minus 2 equals, and there should be an equal sign here, 0. Alright, let's see what pops up for us. And you'll notice that I really only have to put in this part, and that gives me my graph. Now, of course, you're like, okay, I see my graph, but I have to graph it on my, on my paper, which you're wondering, how did I get these values? So what I could do to get these values is kind of do my own table of values here. So I'm going to go back to Desmos and say, I want to do a table instead of a graph. Show me my table. And I want my table to be x. And I think I'm going to try and copy and paste this here, if possible. See if I can copy and paste it so I don't have to rewrite it. And I'm going to write just a couple of numbers. So I chose on here just 0, and pretty much all my positive numbers. So I'll go ahead and do that there. All right, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could just keep going, you know, why not, right? 9. Now I know they don't ask us for all of these, but as you notice, you know, they kind of start appearing in purple on both sides. So I'm going to kind of let you see that. They've been appearing in purple. And you'll see, ooh, I do have an x-intercept of 6, 0. So why is that important? Because remember, our solutions will be wherever the x-intercept is. As you notice on this side, there's no x-intercept, but there's one here at 6. So I'm going to go back and kind of show you how we graphed that onto our paper. So I had students plot their points. So I asked them to maybe put some of the points on here, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, -2, -4. Sorry, that should be a -6. So let's go ahead and fix that. And you'll notice that we kind of just plotted out our points and kind of just sketched our graph there. So I do want to change that. So that's a -6 right there. Oh. Okay. And here you'll notice our x-intercept was, oh, sorry about that, it was a 6. So if we go back, we do notice it there. So that was one of the things they asked us to find, was the x-intercept. And they said, is the value of x an excluded value? Well, we found out that x, the excluded value was x cannot be 3. So our solution there was 6 and not 3. So I think we're good there. And the x-intercept is going to be our solution, which was 6, 0. So we did a worksheet in class. If you don't have that, please see Mrs. A, and she'll go ahead and give that to you just to help us practice graphing. So one of the things we did was we identified excluded values for this practice problem here. As you can see, x cannot be equal to 0. No solving required. We then rewrote the equation so that 0 is on one side. So I had students do the opposite of a positive 1, which is, sorry, opposite of a positive 2, which is subtract 2. So that would be 2 over x minus 2. Okay. And then I had them do their graph. Okay. Again, I can go ahead and go to Desmos.com. So that's exactly what I'm going to go do right now, is I'll go ahead and switch over. So back to Desmos, I can definitely put in 2 divided by x. Click out of there so I can get a -2. Here's my graph. I want a table though, so I'm going to press the little plus sign right here in the middle, in the upper left-hand corner. I want a table, and I want that to be x, and I want this to be 2 divided by x minus 2. Let me go ahead and clear that. Oh, okay. We will clear that using the backspace button. Minus 2 on the outside of that. And I'll start typing in just random numbers like 0, 1, 2. Oh, you start seeing those purple dots again. They're coming up. 3, 4. What I like about it, if I just press enter, it's kind of nice. It'll just keep going. You know, it's kind of cool. It's a nifty little function that you have there. Now, if I do need some negative numbers, I can always write in some negative numbers like -2, -2, -3, maybe -1. And you'll see a couple of those pop up here. Okay, so we can record those and graph them right here. Okay, I'm not going to do that for you, but if you're not sure how to graph, go ahead and come to class and we'll go over how to graph points. Moving right along, we will find out what our identifying our solution, which was what is the x-intercept you found. So looking back at that graph, I see my x-intercept is where my graph hits the x-axis, which was 1, 0. So I'll go ahead and say that for this one, that would be an x-intercept of 1, 0. So that means my x value, my solution would be 1. In fact, if we check that, 2 divided by 1 is 2, isn't it? 2. Yeah, that does work. All right. Moving right along, we also did this one on the worksheet. So we set our denominator equal to 0. We found that x could not be -1. I then had students rewrite the equation so that that -1 is on the other side. What's the opposite of a -1? Positive 1, right? So that would be 4 over x plus 1 equals 0. And then again, if you wanted to get a table of values and a graph, we can then use Desmos. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's do 4 over x plus 1 plus 1. So I'm going to go back to this and say I want instead now 4 over x plus 1, and then that should be a plus 1. As you can see, my graph did move, so I'm going to go ahead and change also my table. So that's going to be 4 over x plus 1 plus 1. And by just changing the equation, I change my values here too. A lot of students just use the whole numbers. So if you see like 2.33 and you do not want to graph that, that's fine. We can use some of the whole numbers that we got here. Do not have to use that. As you can see here, our x-intercept is actually right over here. Ooh, and I like that function that it has, is that if I click on the x-intercept, it will actually highlight it and make it a number value for me. So let me just verify that that is a -5 would be my x-intercept. Yes. So I'm going to go back and answer that question. So again, if you have trouble graphing on your worksheet, let's go over that in class. But for number 2, that would be my x-intercept was -5 because that was my x-intercept. So that was the solution here. And if I actually work that out, -5 plus 1 equals 1, that would be 4. All right. Oh, sorry about that. That would be -4. And would 4 divided by -4 get me -1? Why, yes, it would. So it does check out. All right. Let's continue on the next video with what we did in the packet.